Oh, that's cool. All right, cool. It works. All right, what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? Um, wasn't aware that this was going to work like that. I've never streamed horizontally on TikTok before, but this is actually pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Hi. Um, welcome everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name is RJ, and I like to talk about all things metaphysical and how to, develop yourself mentally, astrally, physically, how to understand your relationship to the elements and bring them into balance, how to, train your intuition, your psychic abilities, so you can get to where you want to be intuitively. And it's a really, really beautiful process. So thank you all for joining me. Um, as we go through this live stream, feel free, drop some questions. I'm going to share a little bit about myself and, my relationship to the elements and why it is that you may even want to have this knowledge, how it affects you. It's important to see the value in your practice, in your day-to-day life, and to be able to see what affects your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Because when we're looking at, the elements, this is what we're working with. We're working with the astral elements. It's the primary forces that drive you throughout the day, and these forces rule over us. They can be positive, they can be negative, but when they're out of balance, we find ourselves, not living such a harmonious life, and having to fight through certain things. Wherein they are in balance, things become easy. Your intuition begins to flourish. You live a life full of fulfillment and in all ways possible. So understanding psychology of the elements is what we're going to kind of get into. So like I said, as people are coming in, feel free, say what's up, say hi. uh, don't be afraid. Let me see if I can set my phone up so I can see the comments. All right, cool. How do I do this? There we go. That's cool. All right, so what up, everybody? All right, so yesterday we went through a whole thing about the water element, and I want to move on to the earth element. When we look at the elements, once again, the elements manifest through our survival instincts. They're there to keep us safe so we can survive. Water is there and it's based off of our social interactions, our need for love, our need for a partner, our need for a tribe, right? And when it's out of balance, we, find ourselves in spaces where, our cup isn't being filled. We don't fill our own cup. We're seeking for other people to fill our cup. And, we'll be a lot, introverted, or we'll be, in the space of need and it creates a lot of negative experiences in our life. But when you balance it, everything becomes easy. You have that self love, you have your tribe, right? You have the people in your experience that are there to see you grow and evolve and want to help you grow and evolve. And that's what balanced water element look like. If you're in a relationship, and your partner isn't truly there and wants to see you thrive and to grow and evolve, then that's an imbalance of the water element. So looking at this is important. Understanding this is very, very important. Hey, Tyra and Truth, how you doing? What up, Jen? How are you? Um, so looking at this is important. Let me make sure I can see any comments that's coming from YouTube as well, because I'm not sure if I can see them. Uh, that's the water element. When it comes to the fire element, fire element is rooted in our need to control. It's completely rooted in our need to control. So, in the negative sense, we tend to want to control things that are outside of our control. So, other people, places, things. If you have a pet, people will like try to control what their pet does all the time, and it's this control drama that happens. When your fire element is balanced, you have a very high level of control within yourself. Your mind is sharper, right? You achieve your goals. You can negate anything on the outside world that's keeping you from breaking through your barriers. Fire element has a lot of different qualities to it as well. The qualitative aspect of fire element is courage. How much courage do you have, to break through your barriers, to face your fears, expressing your fire in a healthy way. It liberates you in every way possible. Are you willing to push beyond your current limitations and habits? It's important to look at that and to be able to take advantage of it. The quantitative aspect of fire is willpower. How much willpower do you have? And how do you balance your courage and willpower so you can achieve whatever it is you seek to achieve? The essence of who and what we are is literally infinite. So when we bring the elements into balance, your reality becomes infinite. The possibilities, the outcomes become infinite. But when you don't have this balance within your experience, then you become limited. You're bound to your expression of each one of these elements. But when you bring it into equanimity, boom, your horizons expand. Even when it comes to the water element, you think about, for everybody in here, let me know how y'all feel about this. When you realize one of your traumas or shadows, right? The moment you recognize it, especially your subconscious stuff that you are completely unaware of, the moment you recognize it, you feel lighter. Like, oh, you might cry it out for a little bit. Oh my God, I've been this horrible person. This was insane. I'm sorry. And then you cry out all the astral stickiness. And then immediately after, you feel lighter. Literally, you feel lighter. You literally alchemized and released all that energy from out of your field. And because it's no longer attached to you, now the karma that's attached to that thing is no longer holding you down. You literally can go new places. Your horizons have expanded, and now you get a sense of that just naturally. And when you begin to understand the psychology of the elements and bring them into balance, this happens in every way possible. And it's beautiful. So fire element, look at your barriers. Look at your fears. What's holding you where you're at now? One of the most amazing realizations that I had in the beginning of my journey is that anytime I face a fear, the outcome was thousands of times greater than anything I could have ever imagined. Our ego likes to protect us and makes us feel safe. The astral elements are there for you to survive. They're not there for you to be successful. They're not there for you to achieve your dreams. It's there solely so you can survive. So it's going to make you feel comfortable. And we get these urges of fear, right? Of doubt, of, stay here because it's safe. And none of it's real. But the moment you are able to look at that, and then we tell ourselves all types of stuff, through our fears, we tell ourselves all types of different things. But the moment you're able to look at it and face it, boom, it's as if it was never there to begin with. And 9.9 times out of 10, it will never be anything like you imagined or you told yourself it's going to be. So looking at this is important. Break through your barriers. Face your fears, and the more you do it, the more liberated you become. The less you have sticking to you, and the easier your life becomes. The higher quality of life you begin to have. So just want to share that. Like I said, let me know how y'all feel about this. For everybody that's in here, say what's up. Sophia, y'all in here. Drop a one in the comments. If this is your first time here, let me know where you're from. How do you express the fire element in your life? Are you in a state where you try to control your partner? Or you try to control situations? Are you in a state where, you're anxious all the time or in fear or you're worrying all the time? This is an imbalance of the elements. If you're in that state, it needs to be brought into equanimity. And once you bring it into equanimity, once again, you get this newfound freedom and literally in which you begin to expand and you begin to live in different realities. And it's beautiful. And everybody has this. There's nobody that doesn't have this. And what up, Barbie? Says from Australia. Oh, that's what's up. What part of Australia? I got a buddy that's actually going to be going to Australia in a couple days. To stillness, yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, um, when it comes to the fire element, there's different ways that you can bring it into balance. Near Brisbane, that's what's up. Yeah, I think that's where he's going. Is in Brisbane. I'm currently in Sri Lanka, and it's a lot of Sri Lankans that go to to Australia and go to school there and work there. Um, but yeah, when it comes to the fire element, right? some of the ways that you can bring it into balance is not just breaking through your barriers and expressing your will, right? It says, what is the fire element? Um, okay, I'm going to break it for the people that's coming in. Once again, is this your first time seeing me? Drop a one in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is RJ. I teach hermetics. I teach alchemy, self mastery, psychic development, how to train your subconscious mind, your intuition, so you can always go in the direction which you please and have nothing holding you back. We have a lot of subconscious resistors that can be hurdles. And once again, when you bring the elements into balance, those hurdles disappear. They become superpowers. And it's really, really beautiful. And there's a vibrational scale within that. It becomes literally magic. But you have to understand yourself, because all these different energies affect the way we think, the way we act, and the way we feel. Self mastery is mastering the way you think, mastering the way you act, mastering the way you feel. Those are the spiritual realms: the mental realm, the astral realm, the physical realm. And if you aren't mastering it, then it's mastering you. It will dominate your experience. So being able to understand this type of psychology, it literally liberates you. You begin to ascend, you begin to live in higher realities. And it's really, really beautiful. And there's many ways that you can work through it. And this is what we're talking about. So like I said, as I continue to share information, ask questions, like I said, for those of you that's in here, it says one Pennsylvania. That's what's up. Shout out Penn. Um, I'm from Indiana, by the way. I'm currently in Sri Lanka, but I'm from the U.S. um, so all right. Somebody says, "What is the fire element?" So the elements manifest through our survival urges and instincts. It's what keeps us alive. This is part of who and what we are. And I'll go through each one of the elements before I get deeper into the fire element. So, I shared about water element. Water element is rooted in your need for a tribe, for a partner, for love, right? Because if you have a tribe, you have a higher chance to survive. If you have friends, if you're friends with your neighbors, if you have a partner, you guys can look out for each other. You have a higher chance to survive. So we have these innate urges and that need fulfillment to facilitate that. And it's our core instinctual urges that it manifests through. If you are out of balance in your water element, well, you'll lack self-love, right? You'll go searching for people who don't fully, want to be your tribe or fully love you, and you'll settle. Right? You'll have a negative self-image. It's all these different aspects in a negative sense. In a positive sense, you have true wholehearted self-love. You can share it with others. You can fill your cup up. You can let your cup overflow, and then fill other people's cup up. But you have to have it within yourself first. If not, your whole life will be ruled by the water element. You'll go seeking validation from friends, family, partner, from external sources, and people that it's not even worth trying to seek their validation. So it's just a part of who and what we are, and everybody has us. There's nobody that does not have this. It's a part of who we are as human beings. So that's water element. The question was fire element. I'm gonna read Jen's question first. Says, I feel like this was meant to be. I clicked on it by mistake. I literally just lost my job, and that's a blessing. Literally, that's a blessing. That is a literal blessing. So one of the things too, right? And this is the water element aspect. The water element also regulates synchronicity. Hey, Cookies Mama. um, you know, your relationship to your reality is important. And I talked about this morning. Hey, Lynn, how you doing? I talked about this morning that I know everybody in here has experienced moments of bliss, moments of divine synchronicity where everything is just working out and you're having miracles going around you, right? And why would you ever think that your experience that you're having now is separate from that or disconnected from that? Right? No matter, despite all appearances, despite anything else that's happening, if you have been in divine alignment at one point in time, why would you ever think that you're not in that state now? Right? You say you just lost your job, that's a blessing. I welcome change, because the nature of the universe is evolution. You will always evolve. But if you look at your evolution as, oh, I'm trying to hold on to this thing that's no longer for me, then you're trying to hold on to this past experience and something that it may be limiting. Okay, cool, lost a job. Okay, cool. Now what's the next step? How can I evolve? Where am I going now? And creating a vessel, holding space for a much higher opportunity, much higher pay, much more ease, something that brings more fulfillment. It's a blessing. It's a literal blessing. And you have to hold space for it. And then some people will say, well, what about finances and stuff? You will always be taken care of. It might not even be on your own accord, but your divine abundance is always there. Just like every other thing in nature, what you need is always there. There's no other beings on the face of this planet that doesn't have what they need to survive. And you may tell yourself, oh, I need this, I need that, or whatever. In a sense, yes. But if you hold space and really, really hold space for your divine abundance and know that, everything that's happening to you is happening for your good and to see the good and to work with it and go with that flow, then that's how miracles happen. We walk away from miracles. We walk away from our blessings by doing things out of fear, out of anxiety, out of trying to hold on to past identities, right? That no longer serve you, past things that aren't meant for you. And this creates chaos. It creates, the negative experiences that we have. But, once again, the whole ideology of like everything is always working for in my favor. Florence Scovel Shinn has a affirmation, and it's one of my favorite affirmations. It's, what's meant for me, I cannot lose, and what's not, I do not want. And that's like that's the story of my life. Like the things that's meant for me, there's no way I will ever lose it. It's already on my path, no matter what. And if it's not for me, I don't want it. I don't, because we try to take on all these different energies and stuff that's not for us at all, and it will only bring suffering. But the things that's meant for you will always be in alignment, and we force things because of marketing and subconscious programming and society and all these other projections and stuff. And people model their whole life off of things that's not meant for them. And this is where your awakening comes because you're like, oh, what is meant for me? Who am I? What am I? And you get to know yourself, and then you start seeing the things that's truly meant for you, and then life takes on a whole new meaning. This literally applies to every other aspect of your life. And if you apply this principle, if you hold space for this principle, I promise you, you will recognize miracles in your life. But if you don't have the space in your mind and your actions and your heart, even though miracles are always happening around you, you will not see them. You will miss them. You'll be sitting in the corner, oh my God, boo-hoo, poor me. And as the blessings are all around you, you will never take advantage of it because you're not even holding space for it. You have to hold that space for it, and we create our own reality, and everybody's reality is different. Everybody's reality is vastly different. We have the same physical realm, but mentally and astrally, we live in completely different worlds. My experiences are vastly different than yours. We may even be in the same place, the same restaurant, eating the same food, but my perception, my relation to it, the way it tastes, everything else, vastly different. The textures, the feelings, the colors of everything is vastly different. Vastly different. It's all about your relationship to it. So when you begin to relate to it in a more positive, universal light, then that's what you get. But you remember, your reality is a reflection of you. It's a complete reflection of you, mentally, actually, and physically. Some of the deeper things, you can look at your physical body. Your physical body, is your body in balance? Right? Is your mind in balance? And then anything, if you got, stiffness in your right leg, well, there's a part of you that's lacking fire element. And all the fire element stuff that's stopping you from, getting in that gang spirit and pushing or whatever, exert some of that. I promise you, your pain in your right leg go away. It's a manifestation of the mental, the astral, the physical. For me, I was so funny. I was talking to Milo about this earlier. For me, I'm currently working on my earth element right now, bringing my earth element into complete balance. And I had a toe infection, right? And right at the point where like now my toe infection is healed, right? And it's a literal manifestation. Oh, you need to take care of this earth element stuff, this grounding, this foundation. As I have everything. Look, it's 2:22 on the clock. It's 2:22 p.m. here. And this is the thing, looking at your situation, knowing yourself, knowing you is the greatest thing you could ever know. It's the greatest knowledge. That's why all the esoteric schools and occult teachings, put such a huge priority on knowledge yourself because your whole reality is a reflection of you. It's a complete reflection of you. Um, and so I think I'm in that suffering point right now. Yeah, and like you're here because we're in resonance. It's something that you may need to know. A little different, just a slight change in psychology will be, it'll give you a vastly different reality just by tweaking the way you view things just a little bit. Now imagine if you tweak the way you view things a lot, and it's incremental. You don't have to change your whole identity and stuff overnight, but you start making more positive changes. One of the first things I like to teach people is journaling. I teach hermetic. It's alchemy, hermetic magic. So, everybody has their magic journal. In your magic journal, well, you write, okay, cool. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing, and you establish it, right? And you get there, and it's pretty powerful, So write down your affirmations. Where is it that you want to go? What is it you would like to achieve? It's people that, I've had, about 1,000 or so students thus far. And one of the first things that I tell them to write in their magic journal is, write out the most amazing, beautiful life that you could ever imagine in vivid detail, in the present moment. I am this. I am here. I have this much money flowing in. I have this type of partner, right? I am this, and to really, really, write it and establish it. Whenever you write something down, you're crystallizing your thoughts, your emotions, right? Your manifestations in this physical realm as a placeholder for your energy. When you no longer have to think about it and you subconsciously align yourself to it, especially if you surrender to it. It just happens. And it's beautiful, but you have to give it direction. Once again, you set the tone for your reality. Where you place your mind, that's where you're at in the mental realm. If your astral emotional belief structures and your emotions, well, that's where you're at astrally. If you're aligned mentally and astrally, well, guess what? You're half of the way there. You're two-thirds of the way there. If your thoughts match your feelings and you believe that you can achieve your thoughts, you're going to bring it into manifestation. Now, the physical aspect, you have to take those steps. You have to line up your mental, astral, and physical bodies. That's the law of manifestation. Everything manifests in that way, everything. But you have to, set the program up and be willing to change your viewpoint. The things that got you to where you are now may not be the things to get you to where you want to go. And it's important that you're able to let go of some of those ideologies and rituals and views and things that may have served you deeply up to this point. You know, but we're on a journey and we're evolving. And it's important that you're an active participant in your evolution because if not, you'll still evolve, but at the same rate as your environment and other people. Everything I teach is, well, how do we accelerate our evolution? How do we get to where we want to be and take all the knowledge, wisdom, right, skill, understanding that we would gain over lifetimes, literally lifetimes, and you can have it right here, right now. What up, Dr. Earl? So let me know how y'all feel about this. As always, say what's up, drop a one in the comments. Let's tap the screen, see how many likes we can get. If you guys are with me, y'all feeling this, we'll do some energy exercises. Once again, my name is RJ. I teach hermetic alchemy, hermetic magic, self-mastery practices, psychic development. So how to literally train your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, mental transference, how to transfer your consciousness into a different space, frequency, realm, object, whatever. And it's very, very powerful. Let me know that y'all feeling this. If we can get up to, I'm going big. If we can get up to 40,000 likes, we'll do this energy exercise. And if you've never done it before, it's life changing. It's literally life changing. So this is a goal that we have for this live stream, and it's really really powerful. It says, why is it called metaphysics in fire and earth and water elements? Um, so metaphysics, right? Meta meaning greater, right? Physics is the same thing as physics is study of the physical, right? So we have physics and we have metaphysics, and these are two ends of the spectrum. The physics is purely physical. We're studying the nature of the physical realm. Metaphysics is greater than that. Quantum physics is the bridge between physics and metaphysics. Quantum physics is the study of the astral. That's what it is. Now, there's people who are too caught up in the intellect and they're going to be like, no, it's not. It's literally study of the astral. Most of those people have no idea what magic is or any idea what the mental astral field is or anything like that. But it's literally the study of the astral. And the more that you can look at each one and study each one, the more you begin to understand your reality because they're all tied, they're all one. In the past, the scientists were the magicians. It wasn't until the Catholic Church decided that that knowledge was no longer useful, and they wanted to control everybody, and went through the Crusades, and off a lot of people in their traditions, and kept it for themselves. That they separated science and magic. Literally, science and magic has always been the same thing. That's why you see like old timey books and depictions. Right next to the king is the wizard, the magician, and he has a chemistry lab and everything else because the scientists were the magicians. All of our sciences are no different than magic. If you look into Egypt, Greece, and then Rome, Thoth, Hermes, Mercury, the god of knowledge and wisdom and thought, science, mathematics, chemistry it's alchemy. It's literally magic, and there's no separation from it other than your idea about what it is. So just putting that out there. So you know, um, so when we talk about fire, air, water, and earth, once again, to the Hermeticists, we're looking at our relationship to the elements in everything that we do. Once you understand the psychology, it's esoteric psychology. When you understand the psychology, then you can see it manifest in everything that is. And I know everybody has heard, everybody that's in here has heard, oh, the elements are within everything. And this is a literal thing, it's a metaphorical thing, but it's a literal thing. You can look at everything around you. There's nothing on the face of this planet that isn't composed of air, fire, water, and or earth. Nothing. Even synthetic things, it all comes from earth. All of it, 100% of it. There's nothing outside of that. Even your physical body, there's nothing outside of that. Everything consists of the elements. Everything. So when you begin to understand the manifestation of it, then you can bring your life into balance in a much easier way, in a much more harmonious way, because you begin to live in harmony with your spirit and with nature and with the creator, you know, and in the highest form, not a projection, not a religious, projection or cultural projection or what you've seen on television or in books. No, it's a personal one-on-one relationship with infinite intelligence, which permeates all things in all time and space. There's no better relationship that you could ever develop. And what I teach is, well, how do you do that outside of all the cultural, religious influences? And it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So the beginning steps, once again, is mastering the elements. You have to create the inner environment in which equanimity is possible. So you can begin to recognize the more subtle energies. Our mind, not our mind, but our brain is very lazy. It's powerful, but it's lazy. It likes to take shortcuts. And most of what you perceive is a shortcut. Most of your relationship and your perception about what you're experiencing in your life is it's a shortcut. It's, I remember this. So the data that flows through your conscious awareness will be based off of that memory and not so much what you're actually experiencing. You can look at this psychology in, food, marketing. McDonald's has a Happy Meal. Well, they attach an astral emotion to the food that's literally poison. And once they get your child to associate their feeling with the food, they never experience the taste of the food ever again. Here goes a toy too. So every time that they, engage it, oh, it's happy. It's happy. And then they grow up to be adults and I'm eating this happy, poisonous food. And they never taste it for what it is. They taste happiness. And it's a literal thing. There's a movie. I think it's like Water for Chocolate, and then the woman in there was like doing her alchemy in the kitchen and stuff, and putting all her love and magic into the food. That happens for real. When you eat food, even in McDonald's, the mental, the astral, the physical components, you take that on. Anything you consume, when you touch something, when you put something in your body, whether it's light, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's energy, right? Whatever it is, it becomes you. It becomes you mentally, astrally, physically. It becomes who and what you are. And then that information begins to metabolize through your thoughts, through your feelings, through your emotions. So it's important that you're able to bring that into balance and then to recognize that. Mental hygiene is important. When you eat your food, clear your food. That's why people pray over their food. Right. And some people think, oh, it's woo woo, whatever. No, no, people pray over their food because they want to cleanse it from other people's nasty ass thoughts and stuff. Like, especially if you eat fast food, restaurant food all the time, especially if you're in the United States and you do it. Half those people don't even want to be there. So you're eating, chef and worked all day, sweating to death. Oh, I want to go home, and all that energy in the food, all their beliefs and emotions and stuff. It's in there. And when you eat it, oh, I wonder why I can't think clear. Oh, why don't I feel good? Because boom, you didn't clear your food, and you're taking on other people's stuff. Especially fast food. None of them people want to be there. None of them people want to be there. You wonder why you was just happy, and then the moment you ate McDonald's, now, oh dang, I don't want to go to work tomorrow because you just took on all the cook's energy. You just got in a fight with the manager, and now you're looking at your manager sideways. It's literally how it works. Literally. So when we begin to work with the elements and master the elements, right? This becomes clear. It's common sense, but we're not taught this because we have all these other labels, all these other ideals and projections about what reality is that's not grounded in truth. But when you begin to balance out the elements, then you see truth. Spiritual growth is raising into higher levels of truth. The lower layers of reality are all layers of delusion. They're all dualistic layers. If you're living in the realm in which it's good versus evil, angels versus demons, and if you're in the political realms, if you're in those lower, more dense realms of delusion, well, that's what you live. You know nothing else other than that. You look at everything in as this duality type of experience, and you're in that literal realm, and everything there is true to you, even though it's not real. Everything that's in there is true to you, but there's higher levels of truth. And when you begin to grow spiritually and bring balance into your mental body, your astral body, your physical body, then you literally begin to move through the layers of consciousness and you become lighter. And you can tell people that live in their spirit. And not to boast, you can look at me. you know, people that live in their spirit, they don't have this heavy, dark, dense energy literally holding them down, and they're not projecting their insecurities and things like that. They literally, I'm me. No matter where I go, who I'm in front of, I don't care. I am me, 100%. I express myself like no matter what. I will not let anything bring me down in any way, shape, or form. And if I find something that's in my way, cool, let's take care of it. And having that willingness and openness to do it because we're always growing and evolving, and there will be something. Just because we interact with other people, we come into different environments, right? We're subject to our phones and other input from outside sources. So you always got to have your guard up and be able to release the things that you're taking on, but you have to have that as a precept. I release all of the stuff that's not mine. Once again, if it's mine, I cannot lose it. If it's not, I do not want it. And that should be a precept for everybody. And I mean that. If it's mine, I cannot lose it. If it's not, I do not want it in every sense. And it's a beautiful way to understand life, you know. So I love hermetics, you know. So I'm looking at some of these comments once again. Thank y'all for everybody that's in here. We're trying to get up to 40,000 likes, and we'll do a couple of energy exercises. Once again, if this is your first time with me, hit the follow button. Let me know how y'all feel. You know, let me know where you're from. Drop a one. This is your first time with me. Let me know. Yeah, where are y'all from? Me myself, I'm currently in Sri Lanka, hanging out in Woligama next to the ocean. I'm about to turn this air down. It's getting hot. um, yeah, I'm originally from Indiana. This is Baltimore. Shout out B more. Thailand. Shout out Thailand. I still haven't been to Thailand yet. I What's funny is I've been to Sri Lanka twice, and I thought for sure I was going to end up in Thailand. Matter of fact, exactly what I'm doing right here, right now in Sri Lanka. I thought that it would be either in Bali or Thailand first, and it's pretty cool. I'm still coming. I got friends in Thailand. I got friends in Bali, but haven't really taken a chance to go there. So South Africa, shout out South Africa, South African in Ireland. That's what's up. Been having a lot of people in South Africa. I think it's the time difference too. So can I talk? Can I ask how you go about issues like Gaza? Oh, oh, you're in that realm. Okay. Well, hi. That's a really good question. All right, so this doesn't make sense to people that stuck in the dual realms. You know, everything exists. Everything. There's no such thing as non-existence whatsoever. Whatsoever. There's no such thing as non-existence. What you experience, what you magnetize, people, places, things that you place importance on, that you hold space in your vessel, that light begins to manifest through your thoughts, feelings, actions, interactions, and karma, whatever it is. Whatever it is, that becomes your reality. Whatever you place importance on and you hold space for does not mean that it's the most important thing, doesn't mean that it's real. It doesn't mean that, you know, this is what you should focus all your time and energy on. It just means simply this is what you're paying attention to and what you're bringing into your reality. Now, things that, you know, happen on the news and in social media and things that you may not experience firsthand, the more you attach an astral emotion to it, the more it becomes your reality. You know, people say stuff like that all the time. Well, what about this? What about that? No, there's people in the streets right next to you. What about the people on drugs outside your neighborhood? What about them? What about the homeless kids? What about this? What about that? Not saying that none of it's important, right? But it's what you pay attention to and what you hold space for that becomes a bigger part of your consciousness. And it's important to understand the karma because most of it wouldn't affect you in any way, shape, or form other than the fact that you have an opinion about it, an emotional attachment to it, and it becomes a bigger part of your reality. And you find yourself, the karma that's attached to it, you find yourself in those places with those people who also have that same feeling and even opposing views about it, and you're in that realm. It becomes a karmic thing. And so it's not up to me to say what's right or wrong. You choose your karma, you choose your life, your reality. We all do. But once again, there's things that don't matter. There's things that may or may not matter. Most of what people put their time, focus, and energy on is things that would never even show up in their radar if somebody didn't say, "Oh, what do you know about this?" But there's a billion things. And there's also a billion positive, beautiful things that's happening. It's all about what you pay attention to. And essentially, and this is the thing that people don't really get, right? Everything exists, but everything's not real in the sense that, once again, it's you that give it life. Whatever it is, you that give it life. So when they talk about, you know, we're made in God's image in our own creative faculty, literally nothing exists without you giving expression to it. Nothing, not any thought, not any emotion, anything in this physical realm cannot exist without you giving it expression, whatever it is. So you can pick and choose, you know, and once again, when you begin to balance out the elements, you begin to see this, it becomes common sense. And intuitively, you begin to shed some of that stuff away. You begin to, oh, okay, let me, you know, that's not important. That's not important. That's not important. It's whatever you place importance on, whatever you have an astral emotional attachment to, that becomes your reality. It becomes a bigger part of your reality. And remember, the past and the future is not real. All we have is this present moment. That's the gift of life. And this is on a divine level throughout time and space. All we have is right here, right now. The only thing that you even know to be real is right here in this moment. There's no way possible you can ever say or even conceive of anything outside of what you experience firsthand. Nothing else is real until you give life to it. And the more you pay attention to it, the more you give life to it. You can give life to anything. There's people living right next door to each other. One person is poor and broke, went to the same school and everything else. They're in the same business, and they next door neighbor rich. What they pay attention to, what they put importance on, what they hold space for. And it could be anything, literally anything. So I suggest for everybody, look at your attachments, your belief structures, right? And look at what's limiting you and possibly what can liberate you, because it's important. You know, we put so much importance on things that have nothing to do with us whatsoever, just because somebody said to, just because somebody said to. And now you took on somebody else's karma because they believe in that, or they put importance on that when it had nothing to do with you whatsoever. And this happens. And once again, the people, places, things, situations, all the karma attached to it becomes your karma. There's no liberation in that. We talked about free will. There's no free will in that at all, because it's a lot deeper than, oh, I just believe this. Yeah, you believe that. Now astrally, boom, you have this gravitational tuning fork that's pulling in other light frequencies into your experience, and there's tons of karma that comes along with it. And this is everything that you liken yourself unto. Everything that you dislike, we still like it. The things that you have a strong aversion to, it's the same thing. It's good and bad are the same thing. It's two poles of the same thing. So even the things that you don't like, you're in that realm. You're attached to that thing, good and bad. You can look at politics, same thing. You pay attention to either side, and you're really rooting for whatever side or whatever you're in that realm. That's the same thing, no matter what side you're on, and that becomes your reality. You find yourself in those places, you know, um, getting emotionally attached to things, and then even what's shown on the media and in social media, most of the stuff is not true or real. Especially in today's age, as long as you can stay glued to your television, your television, your phone, YouTube, whatever it is, as long as you can stay glued to it and they can sell you ad space, they do not care if it's true or not. They never have. It's how can we evoke emotion from people so they can continue to watch us and give us their wealth, right? So the family that raised me is Palestinian. Yeah, see, and that's it. Their karmic stuff becomes yours. You have an attachment to it. Not saying it's a negative attachment or anything, like you have an attachment to it. But have you been there? Have you been, have you been Palestine? Have you been to Israel? Have you seen it firsthand outside of what's, you see on social media and things like that? And how much influence do you have over it? Like if you're an influencer, if you have a platform and you can share, what you believe in, then yeah, do it. If you think it's really going to make a change, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's up to you to decide what you place importance on and what you hold space for. But there's highs, lows, goods, bads, limitations, and there's liberation. It's up to everybody to decide what that is. But once again, when you begin to grow spiritually, you begin to see the karma that's attached to certain things. And, most things are, you know, for lack of going super deep into detail, most things aren't real. And it's kind of like an oxymoron type of deal because, everything exists, but nothing's real. And once again, this doesn't make sense to a beginner because when you're in the lower denser realms, when you're in the lower denser realms, it's real. Like you're suffering, like you're suffering. You're experiencing pain, sorrow. You're experiencing all these things like regularly. You see it all around you. All the people around you in your environment, your neighborhood, your friends, your family, like they're all struggling and everything else because you're all in that realm together. But when you go up in the astral just a little bit more, then he's like, Oh, that's why you're in that situation. Oh, that's why I was in that situation. Oh, I can see clearly how I created that, how I put myself in that position. And when you're in it, you don't see that. You can't because you're a vibrational match to that level. You can't see above that level. So once again, when you are on your journey and you're growing and evolving, it's literally how can I raise up above this level of consciousness so I can liberate myself of the grasp that it has on me. And on a spiritual level, once again, time is not real. All we have is the present moment. The future is just literally whenever you write or speak something, the moment that is after that. That's what the future is. That's what we call the future by definition. The past, same thing. It's not real. None of it's real. It's a theoretical thing. So right here and right now, you know, who are you? What are you? What do you place importance on? What are you bringing into your future? Because you're bringing it into your future by your values, right? By your precepts, by the things that you hold space for. You're allowing that light to manifest through you. And on the same, level of, you know, the future and the past is not real, and we only have this present moment. Karma, you know, karma throughout time and space is a thing. And this is one of the craziest things, some of y'all that like been doing a lot of spiritual practice for a while, or maybe done like some I'm trying to use my words, you know, specific substances that may have let you peek into the akasha throughout time and space. You'll get this, but some people won't. Is like once again karma. Hitler might be a child on the in Libya right now, literally. Literally. And I know it's crazy to think of, but it's not real. You can die today and be a slave in Mississippi when you wake up. And I'm so serious about this, It's not real, In the same way that, think about it, when you go to sleep, right? You have our mental body, our astral body, our physical body. When you go to sleep, we have what's called the mental and astral matrix, right? This is the magnetic fluid that binds your spirit to your soul and then your soul to your body. When you go to sleep, that magnetic fluid, your mental matrix, it thins out, and your spirit leaves your body. And you can go into a dream realm, you can go into your subconscious mind, you can go into all these different things, right? So if you're able to do that, think about what happens when you don't have your physical body, when you're not attached to it, right? And what constitutes as being real, right? So it gets pretty deep, and this is some of the more, esoteric occult, levels of understanding. But it's something you have to experience firsthand to fully grasp. And like I said, this is why I teach what I teach and share what I share. So you can kind of conceptualize it, it's kind of planting seeds. So as you continue on your journey, it's like, oh, that's what that means. That's what that is, you know and it's really really it's beautiful. And like I said, this is my path of service. So one, you can wake up and then remember who you are and take ownership of your power. We are here, not to just ignore what's out there, but the only way you can really make change in this reality is to be the best you that you could possibly be, to focus on being the best you that you could possibly be. Why would you ever pay attention to something that has nothing to do with you, something that's not you, that's not your reality, and then you make it your reality? The best thing that you can do is live a life full of fulfillment and blessing so you can share that with others who don't have that. So you can share that. That's what our purpose is. Whatever your God given gifts and abilities are, focus on that, develop that, train that, and then share that with the world. Don't share misery and stories of suffering and poverty. It's like that don't help nobody. It just makes you impoverished and suffer. It's not real, literally. So it's important to understand that and where you place your attention and how much space you hold in your heart for whatever it is. But make sure that it's something that's going to liberate you and the people that you love, whatever your mission is. And it's something that I hope everybody's able to see. And thank everybody that's in here. We're still running up the likes and the comments. And feel free to drop questions. Let me know how y'all feel about this. Once again, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic alchemy, Hermetic magic, psychic development, how to train your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all the good stuff. And And this is my platform. You're in my house right now. So if you're in my house, say what's up, drop a one. Let me know where you're from. It's your first time with me. Hit the follow button. I promise you will not regret it. I'll be dropping lots of gems and practices and stuff to elevate your quality of life and your perceptions. It's important that you're able to do that. And you're always willing to do that. It's really easy not to. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I do know ascension. I do know, a lot of the universal laws and some of the formless aspects that some people may not be aware of. My goal and my path of service is to make you aware, is to share that information and knowledge and skill so you can become your own teacher, so you can train your intuition, train your subconscious mind. You can get to where you want to be, with much more ease and have a much higher quality of life. And it's important. So I'm looking at some of these comments. Let me see. She says, I often wonder what life would look like if all people operate from this perspective. It would literally be heaven. We would have no reason to be in this physical realm. When you hear people say, oh, the earth is moving up into higher vibrations from the 3D to the 4D, that's literally what would happen. The only thing that stops it is, once again, people dwelling in the lower realms, the collective consciousness, everybody who's attached to the collective and allow the collective to steer their karma and their thoughts and feelings and actions. That's what keeps the collective down on a certain level. You have to develop mental, spiritual strength to transcend all that. The people that change the world, the people that bring new systems into fruition, that bring new sciences and things that will aid people, literal ascended masters and really high level beings that they write books about and build monuments for. These are people who they're not aligned with the collective. They transcend it. They have really strong minds. Your mind, your spirit is the same thing. And everything that you give expression to is a spirit. It's a level of consciousness. It's a level of light. And you can give expression to any spirit, particularly your own. It would be the highest one. But everything about you, from the things you like, right? You liking yourself unto it, the things you wear, the information submit yourself to, right? These are all different levels of consciousness. It's not you, but you give it life. You pick and choose what spirit you're going to express. And this is why we use terms like, oh, in the spirit of love, oh, in the spirit of giving. It's a literal thing. And this is why we have those expressions, because on the subconscious level, intuitively, everybody knows this is why that somebody will say something like that and it just makes sense. You may not contemplate it or really understand where it comes from, but everybody knows exactly what it means in spirit. But you pick and choose what it is. You can give, on the spirit of suffering, and boom, there you go. And most people are on that realm, and especially when it comes to the collective. And once again, to liberate yourself from it, that's where, the true growth comes from. And everything I teach is, well, how do you do that? How do you liberate yourself from all these outside forces and projections that literally affect the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel, and put you in the lower realms? Literal lower realms, realms of suffering, hell realms, where there's demons and succubi, incubi things literally telling you, feel this, think this, be afraid. So it's a literal thing. um, Looking at some of these other comments, says I have recurring vivid dreams living this Asian boy's life. Yeah, it's probably past life. People tell me all the time about their dreams and then how they wake up in different realms. I've had people say, "Oh, I wake up in my spaceship in this exact galaxy, and I'm this commander, and I'm completely sane about it. I wake up in the stasis pod, and I'm projecting my consciousness here from 100,000 years in the future." And they experience it over and over and over and over. Is it true? Yeah, everything's true. Everything's real. To a degree, everything exists. But our consciousness is not bound to your current reality. You know, we overly identify with the physical realm because it's the densest realm, and this is what you experience. The most because we're usually bound to our physical body. The game is to transcend that, to get to know your astral body, right? Your emotional body. That's why when people start their spiritual journey, the first thing they do is heal their trauma. That's your astral stuff. And through that, you change your belief structures, your view. Life literally becomes lighter. You feel lighter. Things become more vivid, literally, because you are demagnetizing and alchemizing all this heavier, denser stuff that you're keeping in your field of consciousness, right? And then you raise up into the mental body, you train your spirit, and then you can literally experience much deeper, more profound, miraculous realms and ways of living, even in the physical. And then when you learn to leave your body, it becomes even more magical. And it's beautiful, it's really, really beautiful. And this is why I teach step by step. For those that want to know, um, there is a LINK on my page, and I got an app. I teach, through the app, and we have weekly group Zoom meetings. You can sign up with it's a monthly subscription or yearly subscription. It's cheaper to do the yearly, but it's lots of content, lots of information. Literally, how do you train your psychic abilities? How do you liberate yourself? How do you step by step master the elements? How do you train your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, mental transference? How do you transfer your consciousness into a different realm, a different space, right? And why do you want to do that? Well, one, you want to be able to understand the formless realms, the things that are a product of the spirit you can't intellectualize. Nobody can teach you it. Nobody can give it to you in a book. What I can do is give you practices. Do this, boom, and experience it for yourself. Raise up into new levels of perception. All right. It's like, what does an orange taste like? You can't give that to somebody. You can describe it with as many adjectives as possible, but you cannot give somebody what an orange tastes like. You taste the orange. It's the product of the spirit. All the higher spiritual knowledge is that. It's exactly that way. So everything I do is, well, how do you experience that? And this is what I'm here for. So if you're interested, once again, there's a LIN K. Let's try to not get shadow banned on there. And you can download the app. It's really cool. And there's tons of different video libraries. Right now we're going through it's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program. Just started a new segment of the course where we're going through step by step and doing all the different practices together. And there's like tons of additional content. There's hundreds of videos. Every Zoom meeting is recorded. The Zoom meetings are held 9 a.m. Pacific time on Saturdays. And yeah, it's there for you to grow and evolve. Lots of beautiful things come from it. Your intuitive guidance system comes online. Your ability to be a creator and to liberate yourself from, once again, the collective, from the karma of the city, from other people's projectives, and literally, how do you ascend and become your own teacher? That is my goal, and that's what I teach step by step. And it's beautiful. If you would like to learn more, like I said, you can message me here. You can hit the I don't I've never streamed horizontally on here. So for those of y'all on TikTok, there's a Service Plus button. I think it's orange in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. You can tap that, send me a message. I can send you the details. And if you use the promo code 1111, it's 50% off, and you get year-long access to everything. You can message me within the app. You can book a one-on-one. You can book a quantum healing session, and it's beautiful. I'd rather teach you, how to do it yourself so you can, be the alpha tuning fork in your life and raise your quality of life for you as well as the ones that you love. So this is what I do it for. And I'm like 9 comments back, so I'm gonna scroll down. um, so it says, what makes you happy? James asked that a while ago. And hey, everybody, that's joining. So what makes me happy? Um, you know, for me, I'm living my dream life right now, and I'm going to live higher levels of my dream life. Um, I'm pretty content, to make me happy. I love doing this, exactly what I'm doing now. This is the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done. Literally, me sitting here sharing this information and knowledge with you. This is what makes me happy and brings me true fulfillment. I've done lots of things in my life. I've owned a record label. I used to perform. At one point in time, we were doing 2, 3 shows a week for like 6 months straight. I of course, videography, photography. What else have I done? I've worked in warehouses, done a lot of things. Always been like always been an entrepreneur. I owned one of the first virtual reality arcades in America. Like literally, I think I was like number two. And I got to play video games for a living. And what brings me true fulfillment is what I do right here, right now. And then like I said, I've had 1,000+ students, and just having people come back and say, oh, I did this, and these are all the things that are happening in my life. and I have these new level of awareness. Now I can do the skill. I can alchemize my own stuff. I can raise my energy up through my crown. I can go into different realms. I have my divine abundance and then everything else that is a blessing. That's a blessing. And that's what makes me happy, and you can have the same. Like everything I teach is, well, how do you, one, liberate yourself of your suffering and your own shadows and then things that you may be unaware of, develop equanimity. And then from there, you start to develop your psychic abilities and your gifts start to activate, start to activate your DNA and reprogram your DNA. From there, you know, well, you get to know your abilities, you get to know yourself, know thyself, and you will come to know the universe and the gods. So once you get to know yourself and activate your abilities, well, then you build a life around those abilities. And that's what brings you true fulfillment. To be 100% fully authentically you and not allow any of this outside karma and influences to affect the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel, and to keep you bound into a box. It liberates you. Like I said, it was cool playing video games and helping other people play video games. I had my own esports team and held video game tournaments every week and all types of stuff. That was cool. It was fun, you know. But now I'm traveling the world. Like I'm in a tropical island right now, doing what I do. I got one of my really close friends here too, and then my partner. She's supposed to be coming here in a couple weeks to explore the island and everything else. And it's beautiful. It's a blessing. It's a true blessing, and if I would have been doing some of the other things, then it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be who I am right now. I wouldn't have the appreciation for my experience and even the drive to want to share this with others so they can liberate themselves and live a life of fulfillment. And it manifests different for everybody. What brings you fulfillment is subjective. It's for you, and everything I teach is, well, once again, how do you do that in your own way? So there's a few people in here right now that's part of the system. They're taking the course, and I always share, for everything that I teach, all the energy exercises, all of the practices and meditations and everything. Look at the principle of what's being taught, because once you understand the principle of what's being taught, well, you can apply that principle to everything. Universal knowledge is universal. It applies to everything. This is why a lot of people don't understand some of the higher spiritual things that are taught because it makes sense, whatever level you look at it. But the name of the game is to raise your level of perspective, perception, so you can view it from a much higher level. It takes on a whole different meaning, a completely different meaning. So when you understand the principle, you can apply that principle across the board. As you continue to grow and evolve and ascend, boom, oh, this is how I can apply it. And it's really, 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 really beautiful. So that's what I'm here for. um, so yeah, how are you guys doing? Once again, for everybody that's in here, shout out to everybody that's in here. Once again, this is your first time with me. Hit the follow button, drop a one. Let me know where you're at, where you're from. If you have any questions whatsoever, this is what I'm here for. I skipped some of the comments too, so feel free to drop a comment. Once again, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic alchemy, Hermetic magic, self mastery practices, psychic development, and I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful to be able to share this and to share this time with you guys. This is my path to service and what brings me fulfillment. Abundant Audrey, are you still here? Hey, Syntropy. I don't know if you're still in here. This is what a great way to start the day. This what's up. Abundant Audrey says, I'm attracting ex-prisoners who really want to tell me stories of excuses and obstacles. Keeping them held back is frustrating. But why me? That's a really good question. So, shut up, G-Man, Del Patio. I'm not going to butcher your name. So, resonance. If you find yourself around the same type of people, drawing yourself into the same situations, it's a part of you that resonates with that. Whether it's a feeling of lack, whether it's a feeling that you don't deserve better, right? There's something that creates the resonance. It's something that you're attached to that brings that into your situation. And now once again, Some people don't want to hear this. Some people want to say, no, it's somebody else's. Just like she said, the ex-prisoner is just saying, they make excuses. It's everybody else's fault other than theirs. We are responsible for our reality, for our situations. And it's not until you can take radical ownership of your own stuff, that you can really make change within your life and experience. It's nothing outside of you. Even if somebody's in there telling you, oh, you'll never be anything or whatever, well, it's up to you. Are you going to take that on? Do you believe that? Are you going to make that your reality, or are you going to say, oh, no, I got this. It's up to me. I'm not going to allow anything else to rule over me, whether it's true or false. And like I said, I come from the hood. I'm from the west side of South Bend, Indiana, and there's people all around there, that going to jail is normal for them, and they have this whole idea that, yeah, the man is holding you down. There's some outside force that's trying to keep you in a box, and the system is just built against you. And then on the level they're at, it might be true. I've never lived in that level. Never. Even though when I was running the streets and gangbanging and everything else, like you can't tell me that I'm subject to this or that, or that you rule over me, or that I have to play by these rules or anything. That's not real unless you submit. You subject yourself to it. You're submissive to that concept and idea, and you give your power away. This applies to everybody. So look at your experience and anything that you're experiencing. Well, what do you have to change within yourself to, transcend that thing? It's important that you're able to look at that. It's very important that you're able to look at that. And you have to be radically real with yourself. Radical self acceptance is very important. That's the only way you can really inflict true change in your experience. If you find yourself, around all the F boys and everything else, oh my God, I can't find a real. Well, what are you doing to draw them? It's not them. You're in resonance with them. That's why you keep finding yourself in the same place as them. So what within you do you have to change in order for you to transcend that? It's important to look at that. You know, um, but yeah, I just wanted to share that. Other than that, I think I'm about to chill out for a second. Oh, how long have I been streaming? Let me see. I can't even see on here. I'm trying to look on the YT stream. About an hour. Yeah, it's been exactly an hour. Oh, that's cool. All right. So maybe I'll go a little bit longer. But anyway, shout out, what up, ZB? Cindy Scruff, Nepalin. I'm sorry, I'll be butchering people's names. And then I'm not like on my phone, how most people stream and you can see like the text and stuff. The camera's up here and then my phone is like down. So I keep looking down trying to trying to appear. And then it's like windows behind me too. So it's like, yeah. But yeah, how are you guys doing? I started this live stream talking about the elements and like how to bring balance to the elements. And one of the things I really want to kind of make a focus when I go live is, feel free share. If there's anything that you're experiencing right now that you are looking to liberate yourself from, share it. If I don't have the answer, somebody in the comments might have an answer. It's no, we put up with all types of stuff. I remember when I lived in South Bend, I stayed on this house in Wellington, and this is my first house. Like my first house as like a young adult. I think I was like 20 when I rented this house out, and there was this the tub had a leak. Like the faucet was leaking, and it didn't take nothing but 5 minutes to fix it. But I just lived with it for a while until it created like a bunch of damage, and we go through life this way just because we may not know. Oh, I can do something about this. Oh, I need to change this. Oh, I should ask for help. I should let this be known. But you have to create that space. You have to hold space for that thing to get fixed. For that thing, we like to just live with things, and because it's a minor inconvenience, but that minor thing becomes something great. It becomes something big if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't take care of it. It's important that you're able to see that. So once again, you know, um, if you have any questions, comments, anything you would like to share, oh, I'm going through this. How can I alleviate this? This is a perfect platform for you to do it. And there's no judgment here. You don't have to go super deep into detail either, but definitely no judgment whatsoever. This is a Mystic Talk. It is a safe space. So going through some of these comments. So this okay to make me smile. Oh, when I butcher your name, no, my bad. Says looking to liberate myself from a lack mentality. That's perfect. That's good. You're not the only one, you know, and there's levels to it on the spiritual level. Once again, knowing that you were brought into this world with your divine abundance, even though you may not see it. We take on stuff from our parents. Your parents only, taught you what they knew. They didn't teach you everything. They only did what they could, what they knew how to do. And when it comes to, this lack mentality, it's changing your perspective and your habits. It's a balance of both of those, your belief structures and your habits, especially when it comes to money and finances, because, you know, you can think about it this way. You're never going to meet anybody who's rich and penny pinches. You're never going to read somebody that likes to save everything and super frugal that's rich. You will never meet that. It doesn't exist, right? There's a certain energy you have to carry. There's literally a certain type of ideology in order and action, mentally, actually, and physically, in order for you to bring things into your experience. And there's different levels to it. There's different levels to it. The base level on the spiritual level is once again taking advantage of your divine abundance. And abundance doesn't mean you're going to have $1 million, because I definitely don't, not even remotely close or whatever. And then, I'm an entrepreneur. So, it's times where I got abundance. It's times where I may not have, nothing, and that's the base level. But your divine abundance is you will always, always, always have your needs taken care of. And you always do. And you always will. And you have to recognize that. And when you begin to recognize that, you can take advantage of that and then you can build on top of that. And the more you can do it from a space of creation, a space of authenticity, a space of fulfillment, then once again, you get there. You get there and you can build beyond that. And there's ways that you can work with it. Once again, the whole lack mindset, looking at your spending habits, right? What changed my perspective, like completely, is, and it is all a mental thing. It's a mental astral thing. Is I remember when I changed my relationship to spending money on food. Because, we used to eat TV dinners and frozen pot pies and chicken nuggets and everything else. And then it's like, okay, we got to stop doing this. And then, it's a whole thing. Oh, it costs more to eat healthy and stuff. Okay, whatever. Beyond all that, I'm going to change my relationship to this. I'm going to stop putting, unhealthy stuff in my body just because it's cheap. And I'm going to make a conscious effort to spend more money on food so I can have higher quality of food, no matter what, not even look at the price. I'm just gonna boom do that. And I didn't even have it all when I started doing it, but I started doing it, and subconsciously, my habits began to change. I'm literally nourishing my body. The way I bring money in begins to change. My relationship to money begins to change. There's karma that comes with the things that you focus on and the things that you do mentally, astrally, and physically. Everything carries karma. It's not as simple as, oh, I do this and then this happens. No, if I seen this something on TikTok, and it was like, poor people do poor people stuff, fat people do fat people stuff, rich people do rich people stuff. What are you doing? What stuff are you doing? Look, if you're in this situation, what are you doing? Right? So changing, changing your perspective, your perceptions, your habits, and your viewpoints is important. If you want something, well, what do the people do that have it? And start going in that direction. Pay attention to that. Make that your life. Study it, express it in your own way, and you'll have it. It's simple as that. It's literally just as simple as that. There's no outside force telling you that you're bound to be poor and everybody in your, this system is meant to keep you. That's not real. That's just surrendering and putting no effort into anything for the sake of, oh, I'm giving power away to something outside of myself. It's not real. you know? And there's a time and a place for everything. Like sometimes, it's probably better for you not to have money. And for me, like I'm a spiritual teacher. There's not too many of us that like are balling out of control, you know. But there's ways you can build that. There's ways you can build that. And once again, it depends on the karma that you choose. And it's so funny, I was just talking to Milo about this earlier. Like I've been in teacher mode since 2018, 2017. And now it's like, okay, cool. I have this. I have to go back into creative entrepreneur mode. I got to put that mask and identity on and build that. And that's where I'm at, and once again, it's a time and a place for everything, and there's levels to it. You can live intuitively and everything will be taken care of. You won't be, balling, but you'll be fine. You'll be a-okay, and I mean that. You can live completely within your spirit and everything will get taken care of, even if it's not through your own hands. But, you set the tone for what it is you want to experience. And once again, there's karma, and pay attention to that karma. And if you know, looking at the people you surround yourself with too is important. You're the sum total of the five closest people to you. If everybody around you ain't nothing, then guess what? If you're looking at your friends like, this boy, then guess what? So it's important to recognize that you're a product of your environment, of your habits, right? Of your belief structures. This is what creates your reality. And you can change all of it, and everything I teach, well, how do you do that? What are methods in order for you to do that? Does karma only work if you believe in karma? No, not at all. No, everything carries karma. If you eat fried chicken every day, all day, you're going to get fat and probably get heart disease. That's karma. And that's what happens. And you're going to find yourself around all the other people with heart disease and eat fried chicken every day. That's how it works. It affects your brain chemistry, the way you think, the way you act, the way you feel, and it's a lot more to it. And like I said, karma is not something that's easily explained. Everything carries a type of karma, but when people look at karma, they think of a more like immediate physical type of relationship to karma, but it's a lot deeper than that. You punch somebody, somebody punch you back. If you have a belief structure, well, now you're creating this resonance, this tuning fork, and all the other people that's in resonance with that the belief structure find yourself in the same place, having the same thoughts, eating the same food, watching the same, TikToks and information. This karma is deep. You don't have to believe in something to be in part of it. People say, "Oh, I don't believe in magic." Well, that don't mean nothing's magic. Everything is magic. You just choose not to look at it. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect your entire life. You're just being willfully ignorant, and it's a lot of that, So I suggest for everybody, looking at, different concepts, ideas, and things like that, in a non-dual type of way. What does this mean? What does that mean? There's a lot of stuff out there, especially in the spiritual realms, that people just misunderstand. That people just completely misunderstand. On the outside looking in, you can look at Christians that might look at Hinduism. Oh, that's the devil. That's demonic. And that's this and that or whatever. And they know nothing about it whatsoever. What it's for, what it means, what the symbology is, like nothing at all. But they make judgments and they live their life off of those judgments and they live in a box. And then they judge other people who, that's their life and how they connect to something that's infinite, you know and it's once again it's important to look at things in a non-biased way, because once again, the wise man knows that he knows nothing at all. It's the fool that thinks that they have it all figured out. And that's a really great way to live your life. You'll live life with much more ease and less effort if you can live in that type of psychology. I'm not ignoring y'all comments. I'm just talking. What up, Queen of TikTok? Oh, we got royalty in here. um, Once again, shout out everybody that's in here. Drop a one if this is your first time. Hit the follow button if you haven't hit the follow. If you're just lurking on the other side and you ain't tapped in and said what's up, please do. Pretty please do. And then let me know that you're here. Don't be lurking. Don't come in my house and not say something. So I'm gonna answer some of these comments. Says, what's your opinion on that we choose the life we're going to live before coming here? Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So it gets deep. And this is why in all the highest spiritual schools, it's called initiation. You're being initiated into the higher mysteries and stuff throughout time and space. And yeah, we come here to learn. We come here to develop our soul. It's a gift to have a physical body. That's why it's called the present. It's a literal gift. And I've been sharing this like every day this week. There's deities, there are literal temples and images that people worship all over the world that seek to come here and have a physical body again, because it's the only way that you can grow and evolve, you know. But we come here so we can ennoble our spirits, so we can learn how to dwell in those higher realms and raise into higher levels of light until you eventually match the light of the Creator, God, infinite intelligence, infinity. And that's the goal. That's what life is. When light comes into form, boom, it vibrates in and out of the Akasha, down through whatever polarity and belief structures and everything else, and then it seeks to go back out of form. That's the nature of reality. You can look at quantum physics as you're constantly vibrating in and out of emptiness billions of times a second. And the goal is, as you're doing that, that's what creates the evolution. And the more you develop your spirit, the more you can catch it. The more you literally begin to see, this is part of being psychic, right? And developing and understanding the higher spiritual practices and understanding, the more that you pay attention to it and the more stillness you cultivate, boom, now as you're vibrating billions of times a second, boom, you can catch that billionth of a second and literally recognize the light of God and then enter into that and live in that and dwell in that because your mind is still. But if your mind is fluctuating, then you won't get there. So as we go through our life, we come down to this level in this realm, right? And all the lessons and stuff that you are teaching yourself, your higher mind, your guardian angel, your essence of your spirit that is a vibrational match to God, it's literally guiding you. It's a hierarchy within the spiritual realms. And the goal is not to be a slave to any of it, to raise up into those higher levels of light and density so you have a much higher quality of life. And so when you no longer have your physical body, you can dwell in those higher realms. But the goal is to transcend all of it and to become one with, infinite intelligence again, because that's where you come from, you know. Um, so going to other comments. I hope that answers your question. uh, oh, okay, Zay. I see you just typed this again. So I haven't been happy in my marriage for a while. I want emotional fulfillment. So that is something I know a lot about. uh, you know, I know a lot about that. I was married for, 12 plus years. And primarily, I didn't really know myself when I was in that space. I was doing what I thought was right. I wasn't really being fulfilled. There was love, but I didn't know the true meaning of love, outside of my kids until, after I experienced relationships afterwards, like having a true divine connection. And there's levels to it, we're not meant to be with everybody forever. We have friends that come in and out of our lives. We have lovers that come in and out of our lives. We have many different soulmates. We don't just have one soulmate. One of the biggest tricks in this system, that's taught and projected is that, get married young and procreate and then stay with this person until death do you part. And that stops everybody from growing because boom, if you're with somebody, that person might be the person for you at that time. But if you're not going in the same direction, then you're going to go apart. If you're not literally going in the same direction, you're going to eventually go and grow apart, especially, the longer you're together. And it's inevitable. If you're not the same elemental personality, you're not going to understand each other. If you're a fire person with a water person, you're not going to understand, why are you doing this? Why are you so emotional? Why are you so clingy? Why are you, all these different things? And they're going to be like, why are you so pushy and controlling? Because they're, you're fire and they're water. It's all these different aspects. You know, One thing that helps you, in your life in every respect is, once again, holding space. Last few videos I posted was on the concept and idea of holding space, and it's creating a vessel for the answers to come, for the insight to come, for whatever it is that you seek to understand. So if you're having trouble in your marriage, boom, okay, cool, enter in a prayer And a lot of people have a lot of religious trauma attached to prayer, and they kind of shun it away, but it is your greatest tool that you have. And I mean this, you can meditate for decades and never reach the level of equanimity and stillness that you can have access to just through the vehicle of prayer. It's the same thing. You enter into prayer, go to the deepest, most sacred, reverent part of yourself, right? And then from there, welcome. I'll hold that vessel open from the higher part of your mind. We just talked about the vibrational scale. It's you leading you, your guardian angel, God, right? Your higher self. It's all your different levels of consciousness. You enter in the equanimity, most sacred part of you, you raise up there. Hold that space open, huh? Reveal to me. What should I do? What should I do about my marriage? What should I do about this? And give me the strength and the courage to break through that barrier so I can live a life of fulfillment. If you're in a relationship and you're not being fulfilled, and I guarantee you they're not being fulfilled, right? So you can either work together on creating fulfillment together, or you guys will both be better off not being with each other. Staying together for the kids, not worth it. Suffering because of some, projection or what other people are going to think, not worth it. Why would you do that? You got one life. Why would you spend more time not living a life of fulfillment when every aspect of your life can bring fulfillment, especially your relationship, because that's one of the most important aspects of it. And if you do not do it, then the universe will make sure you do it, and you will have no choice. Don't let it get to that, so it's up to you. And like I said, I'm saying from experience, for sure. So looking at some of these other comments, I hope that helped. Um, Cindy, if you're still in here, and it says, does someone else get to enforce your karma? Um, it depends on how you want to conceptualize it. So in Hermetics, everything is consciousness, and different traditions look at it in different ways. Some people say everything is light, everything is consciousness, right? Everything is spirit, everything is energy. All of it is, Um, everything has consciousness. Everything in all of creation, every aspect of creation is living conscious energy, and that's where we get the concept. Hey, Jessica, let's get the concept of deities and different identities and images that we connect to. They're just different aspects of the all of something that's infinite, and a way for you to relate to that specific level of consciousness and to tune into that channel. So when we talk about Saturn, right? Oh, so and so is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is, we'll say the karmic accountants. That energy is what regulates karma, good and bad. If you have a positive karmic field, right? Then you will experience, blessings and angels and everything else. If you have a negative karmic field, that same energy will appear to you as demons and stuff because you don't want to look at it, and then you're in this dualistic state. But it's how karma, comes about. There's different aspects to it too. Says, but they're a regular person, not a deity. Um, I mean, people can't enforce your karma, you know. They can, it's up to you to decide how much of that karma you're going to take on. If you're intimate with somebody, you take on all their stuff. Literally, you take in all of their stuff. This karma is self-imposed. It's always self-imposed. And there's people that will disagree with me. Oh, well, so and so did this to me, and they didn't. You let it happen. You put yourself in that situation, right? You didn't love yourself enough to step away, right? Or you are subjecting yourself into something, you know. So it's important, you know. It's important to you know understand your karma and to not allow certain people and places and things to regulate it, because it's up to you how much you allow that space to manifest through you. It says that my divorce happened during my Saturn return. Oh wow. uh, yeah, pretty interesting. So Smegmatic says I'm divine royalty, one of one, the morning star, beloved of God, David Richard Ross. Howdy. Hey, what's up? That's quite the intro. I need an intro like that. But yeah, I just wanted to share this with everybody. Remember, check out the link in the bio. That's probably why I only got 40 people in here. 'Cause I keep saying that, TikTok is kind of, they have a lot of rules, things they don't want you to say. But anyway, there is a link. We have this app, and so it's the Spaces app, and you have access to, there's a free course in there. If you go to free videos, it's like a 90-minute course. I promise you, if you implement it, there's energy exercises, how to like reprogram your DNA. There's practices you can practice to literally align your subconscious mind to your goals and intentions and start to liberate yourself in really deep, powerful ways. Also, I have courses that are really in depth. I have hundreds of different videos. We do weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And it's powerful. If you would like to learn, if you would like to grow, train your psychic abilities, and learn more, check that out. If you would like to sign up, we have workshops, retreats. We'll be in Sedona in October. For the magical invocation workshop and for the hermetic teacher training workshop. That information is on there. We're also going to be here in Sri Lanka in May, and the Sri Lanka trip is going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to be in all 4-star, 5-star accommodations. It's all inclusive, so all your breakfast and dinners and stuff is taken care of too. We have our private tour guide and translator. We have we're going to some really powerful ancient temples and stuff, and it's really really beautiful. It's life changing. So if you're interested in that, the course is included with that as well. And join the Discord too. Um, if that link isn't on there, once again, hit the Service Plus button, which is once again, I don't even know where to point. It's an orange yellow button in the bottom left hand corner. Hit that. You can send me a message if you have any questions whatsoever. You can book a one-on-one through the app. And yeah, I hope you all have a very, very, very blessed and beautiful day. Matter of fact, I'm going to give everybody a blessing before I go. It says, "You're one of my favorite teachers. I hope you're doing well." I am. What up, Splishy? So I'm going to give everybody a blessing. So if you would like to accept this blessing, um, all you have to do is just, think of a really, really beautiful, happy time in your life. And the first thing that comes up, and just recognize how your heart space begins to open up when you think about it. And from there, just hold on to it, to that feeling, and be willing to receive. This blessing is going to be for subconscious alignment, right? For your highest ideals and goals, for you to liberate yourself, and to kind of set off on a road of fulfillment. And it's really, really beautiful. So if you would like to receive this, just be open to receiving. Certain things might start releasing. You might feel the need to burp or fart or lots of interesting things happen. You might feel the energy around you, within you. Whatever happens, just quietly observe it and allow it to happen. If any negative thoughts or anything comes into your awareness, release it. Just have a goodbye ceremony for it and allow it to happen. And I'm going to start. Okay, it's 333, by the way. How was that? And right at 3:33, thank you for the likes, K Breezy. Feel free share your experience of that. I would rather teach you how to do it yourself so you can do it for others. It's super duper powerful. Even how to transmit, skills and energy and it's super powerful. Super duper powerful. So enjoy, journal your experience because, for some of y'all, I know it's kind of early, it might be late. You might get a deeper level of synchronicity throughout the day. Journal your experience, take ownership of it. If you experience something you would like to experience more of, write in your journal. Oh, I experienced this. I want more of this. I love this. I have this skill now. Write it down and you'll get more of it. You signal to your subconscious that I want more of this and super duper powerful. Other than that, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a very, very, very blessed and beautiful rest of your day. And I'll see you all later. Okay. Peace.